All right, thanks for coming out. This is like our last informational GBM of the semester. I can't believe how quickly time has flown. And I thank you all for being here and being part of the journey. This GBM is brought to you in collaboration with CORE. If you're from CORE, we're super excited to have you today. Thanks for being here. So just a few announcements. One of our last FPTO sanctioned point opportunities of the semester, on Wednesday we have a tour of the St. Augustine campus. If you are interested, make sure that you go into the newsletter and go into the ride sheet. Even if you're not looking for a ride, that is where the sign up is for the actual tour. So make sure you sign up for the tour there, and then if you'd like a ride, or if you'd like to be a driver, if you're a driver, you will get compensated by the treasurer if you have passengers in your car. That'll be one point, and again, it's never too early to start looking around, maybe getting a sense of what PT schools might be looking for in applicants, and just getting to see a cool campus. And then our last GBM is going to be an end of the year social. It'll be like a finals de-stress theme, definitely some free food coming your way, so stay tuned for details. We're also going to be giving out a little bit of free tested study supplies, so some Scantrons, things of the like. And then I have a lot of old merch that we're going to go ahead and sell for $5. So I don't know exactly what sizes I have. It'll just kind of be first come, first serve, so come early if you're interested. You can do cash or PayPal, just like for dues. So Amelia will have the cash box, and yeah, you can just check it out. And then if there's anyone in the room that's graduating in fall 2025, I did put this in the newsletter, but this is a continued contact form, so if you're graduating and you still want to stay in the know about getting schools and cords, maybe coming back and speaking for admitted students panel, senior spotlights on the Instagram, just fill that out. We'll make sure that you're still in the loop. And then the last kind of announcement I have is that the point deadline is coming up on December 11th. That is the last day of classes. The points will close exactly at 11:59. If you submit any later than then, we will not take the points. So make sure that you are getting your points in now. Don't wait till the last minute. This is just for the sake of the secretaries. They have finals too, so we want to be conscientious of everyone. But without further ado, I know why you're really here. I'm super excited to welcome Tabitha to join us. She is our PT guest speaker for the day. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Hi guys. Can I just push this one?
Yes.
Technology is not my friend, so I went to all my pre-PT and my PT stuff before computers almost. So just bear with me if there's any technical stuff. So I'm Tabitha Rozeboom. I'm a physical therapist. I work for Sharp Memorial Hospital in Kearney Mesa. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Sharp is a big healthcare system in San Diego, one of the biggest. So it's like UCSD, Scripps, Sharp, Kaiser, big hospital systems. And I work so the Memorial campus where I'm from is the hub of Sharp. And then I work in the rehab center. So I am on the inpatient side of physical therapy. So I think that's why you guys want to talk to me today, is because I'm on the inpatient side. And you guys get a lot of experience with outpatient side, which is so. What did I do? I did something.
Oh, no worries.
See, I get excited, my hands start wagging, and then slides start changing. You're all good. There you go. All right. Oh, look at that. Okay, so physical therapy. So this presentation was originally designed for people that had not talked to a physical therapist before, so I didn't know how much experience you guys had, but obviously you guys know some of this stuff. So number one, I want you guys to raise your hand if you've had physical therapy yourselves. Okay, and I want you to lower your hands if it was on the outpatient side. Yeah, that's what I thought. So most people have had a lot of experience with the outpatient side of physical therapy. That's what I had when I got into physical therapy school. I was an athlete, kind of there's a lot of people, athletes, raise your hand. Yeah, so a lot of athletes get into physical therapy. Who has had experience with physical therapy through a family member? And if it's on the outpatient side, lower your hands. Yeehaw! There's some inpatient experience. Yay, I'm so excited. So inpatients, woo! And then Who has had a friend that's done physical therapy? Raise your hand. On the outpatient side, lower your hands. Yay, we got some inpatient friends too, that's cool. So that is a good foundation for starting physical therapy, is just to have seen it in the past, either experienced it yourself, because then you can use your experience to help guide you as what kind of therapist you want to be as you join your career. That's really good information because you were there. And so maybe somebody who doesn't know about physical therapy as the recipient, they're probably not gonna have the same view as when they're treating patients. So it's just really valuable information. You wanna keep that in the back pocket for your essays and stuff as well. So, how many of you guys work in physical therapy and get paid as an aide or something like that? That's awesome. That's really, really good experience. Two, has anybody shadowed or volunteered? Raise your hands. Yay, you guys are so well prepared, I'm so happy. Okay, so that's good information as well. Also for your resume, as you know. So you guys know this stuff. So physical therapists help injured or ill people. They help improve their movement. That's the big push with physical therapy, is to improve movement, to be the movement specialist of healthcare, and to help manage pain. You know, pain is what most of the outpatient stuff is about, is managing pain. On the inpatient side, it's a lot more about the movement. We are licensed healthcare professionals, just like doctors and nurses. We can therefore lose our license, and we have to do things to maintain our license. And so it is a very important thing that we have a license so that we are uplifted. We have to maintain our continued education units. We have to continue to learn throughout our lifetime because things change constantly. And so I like that about the profession. If you're not interested in lifelong learning and you want to just learn everything now and be done, that's not the career for you. Healthcare in general, not the career for you. But we have to continue learning throughout our lifetime. Also, we work with a lot of other healthcare people, so we need to have really good communication and interpersonal skills. We have to be willing to take orders from doctors because they are our bosses, and we have to be able to collaborate with, you know, nurses and other therapists, occupational, recreational, respiratory, you know, all those people, and be able to communicate well with them and get along with them, and not feel like we are the pinnacle of all wonderfulness, which we know physical therapy is. Wink, wink. Just kidding. So, my background, I heard you guys were interested in this stuff, so that's why I'm talking about it. So, I'm old. I don't know if you guys recognize that, and my gray gives it away a little bit, but I've been a physical therapist for 26 years. I, again, started PT school with very little computers accessible to me. So when I went to learn about something in PT school, I had to file through card catalogs and stuff. That's how old I am. Like, it's like foreign language to you guys, but it was a lot of work, I have to tell you. I've been working for 26 years for the same place. My whole career has been where I am right now. I've been at Sharp Memorial. My view is, if it isn't broken, why try to fix it? The grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. Now, this is probably contrary to a lot of people's opinions, especially younger generation. They want to hop and bop, and they want to get all the new, you know, I want to do it here, and then I'm going to move on to here, and that's maybe not your forte, to stay rooted, but that's my forte. Stay rooted, become an expert, become a resource, and kind of be comfortable. If I got laid off, I can tell you that I would be so uncomfortable. After 26 years doing the same thing, it's like, don't teach me something new, a new computer system we got last year. Hate it. Okay, so that's my experience. My education, so you guys are entering into the doctorate programs as physical therapists. It's a doctorate program as the entry level. When I'm old enough that that was not the thing when I started PT school. The thing was a bachelor's or a master's degree. I have a master's. During my school career as a physical therapist training, in the 2 years that I was in school, it changed from that bachelor's, master's to the doctorate. So as I was graduating, my master's thesis was on the clinical competence between the master's grads. and the doctorate grads, and trying to see like 1 year later, are they better? Are they the same? Are they worse? And so if you guys wanna know the results, I'll tell you later, in secret, but that was my thesis. I thought it was really groundbreaking and cool, but it did not get published. I also went to Mount St. Mary's. Anybody applying to Mount St. Mary's College? It's in Los Angeles, it's not far away, but Los Angeles is icky, so if you can avoid Los Angeles, do. That was where I got accepted, so I went there. And that was actually my preferred program because I did my research and I knew a couple people who were physical therapists, and the ones that I admired the most and I felt were passionate the most and were grounded the most went to Mount St. Mary's. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll suck it up, buttercup, and I'm gonna be in LA for a couple years, but I'm out of there as soon as I can when I graduated. Physical therapy. How did I figure out physical therapy? That is a good story. I tell it as a guest lecturer in the DPT program here. If you guys get accepted there, I'll tell that story then. I'm gonna just tell you that I was an athlete. I was not a student. I wanted, when I looked at what I was good at, it was athletics. I was like, how does this fit? I can't be a coach, you know? So then I looked at sports medicine and physical therapy, and then started volunteering and experiencing and fell in love with physical therapy, and so that's why I'm here. Do you guys have any questions about my background or anything I've talked about yet? No? Okay. So a work day where I work on the inpatient side, we treat patients just like on the outpatient side, and those patients look different. So I work with pretty much like middle teens, 200-year-old people. So mostly adults, but there are some teens in my mix, and that's the teens that are either taller or larger than an average kid. So most of the kids go to Children's Hospital, but if their equipment only accommodates a certain height and weight, but if they're like 6'10", then they're coming to me, even if they're 15. The bane of my existence is computer documentation. I feel like I spend more time typing than I do treating my patients. I don't like it, but it's important. And I have been on the side of being in a courtroom with a jury in front of me and a lawsuit experience, and I have had to go back to my documentation and explain it word for word and line for line in order to win the case. And so I understand the value of it. It's very important. I still hate it. We have to be able to develop rapport with people that are going through life crisis. And so we have to relate to them. We have to empathize with them no matter what their situation is. You know, I've worked with people all across the spectrum. I've worked with gang members that are teaching me their signs. I've worked with, you know, people, old people that are veterans and you know, racists, and you know, you just have to get along with everybody, and it's kind of crazy to do that, but you do have to get along with everybody. And I can talk to a gangster, and I can care for them, and I can get them better. Am I going to change their lifestyle? I hope so. Like, I give my little mama, I'm a mom, I give my little mama, you know, motivational speech before they leave me, for sure. Like, please just change your lifestyle. Am I going to change the lifestyle? I have no idea, but I try. Functional mobility training, that's what I do 99% of my day. Exercise a little bit of my day. I prefer to teach people how to move, and then they get stronger as they start moving. Exercise like kicking a leg up and down is not my favorite thing to do. In outpatients, when the outpatient therapists talk to you, they're probably more along the line of the exercise and then the manual therapy. That's just not what I spend most of my time with. Gravity is sufficient barrier for many of my patients, and so gravity is what we use. So again, we're collaborating with other professionals. I'm advocating for patients. I'm advocating for how long their stay is in the hospital. I'm advocating for equipment, like custom equipment, expensive equipment, and I'm advocating with insurance to pay for things they don't want to pay for. So this is a big deal. This can take up a big chunk of my time at times in my career. I've had to spend a lot of time with this. It's not fun, but it's valuable. Coaching, explaining, and motivating, and that's part of my athletic career, got me ready for that one. So who doesn't want to help people move better and feel better. That's what we do. So if those things are what you like to do, maybe you're in the right place. So the human body, I used to think that the human body was like, I can learn everything about it today, and tomorrow I can just ride that wave, and that is not true. Medicine changes, and so it's ever evolving, and like I said before, it's a lifetime learning experience, even though it's our body and our bodies don't change. Interacting directly with patients is my favorite part of doing what I do. It better be your favorite thing to do if you're gonna be a physical therapist as well. Hands-on, so it's not a career where you can talk to people and not touch them. You have to be able to feel comfortable touching people, and if you don't feel comfortable touching people, it might not be the career for you. We talked about communication already, interpersonal skills, ability to motivate people, and then you guys know your prerequisites are ridiculously heavy in science, and so you have to be good at that as well. That was what kept me from getting into PT school. My first application was my science GPA. So interestingly, didn't get in, I was devastated, called the dean of the school I wanted to go to, which was Mount St. Mary's. I said, what can I do to make my application better? And she said, well, everything's good except your science GPA could be stronger. Why don't you take some classes? And so, this is kind of funny. So she said take upper division science classes. So I came to San Diego State because I live here, which is not where I went to undergrad. And I took botany. I took how to take care of plants, and I got into school, and it was the coolest ever. I also took biochem. I took biochem so. Yeah, so you have to be good at science. Okay, so this is what the job outlook looks at. I don't know if you guys have seen this information or not, if it's positive or negative for you guys, but this is what it is. The job outlook is positive, 11% growth, faster than average. That's what we earn. If you look at the cost of doctorate of physical therapy education, you're gonna be like, oh no, we don't earn as much. DPT education is ridiculously expensive. When they added that D to the PT, it became more expensive than the MPT. MPT was cheaper, but it's more expensive now. So you just have to be logical with how you're gonna manage that. So with the cost of DPT education across the nation, it's a big problem. Students are stepping up to complain about it. Staff is complaining about it to the APTA, the Academy of Physical Therapy Association. Like, it's a big problem, the cost of education. But things you can do to get around that is be prepared. Be prepared for that cost. Excel in anything you can do that will get you a scholarship. And then think about in-state tuition. If you are applying somewhere and you're gonna be out of state, sometimes people relocate to that state for a year before they accept the admission and get in-state tuition instead. So there's ways around it. There's also, like, on the back side, loan forgiveness programs and stuff. Just know what you're getting into and watch your spending. It's unbelievable how much spending I see some physical therapy or pre-physical therapy students spending on their average daily lives just for convenience. So you just need to know this. Have you seen enough? You want me to change the page? So educational requirements, you guys know about these things. You need a doctorate degree or higher. The preparatory classes are what you're in right now, most likely. They're hard, and they're hard because they're weeder classes. So they're trying to weed out the people that are not dedicated enough to finish them to get to PT school. And there's a reason for that. Once you get to PT school, I have to say, when I got into PT school, I struggled with those classes. When I got into PT school, I was like, this is like a skateboard. And it's not because they were easier, it was because I loved what I was learning, and so it was just easier to study. And all the people I was around loved it too, and so we could study together, so it's just easier. Once you're in PT school, this is the stuff that you learn. So you learn manual therapy techniques, even if you're gonna be on the inpatient side, like me, you gotta learn all this stuff for the outpatient side. So the manual therapy, maximize function, exercises to help with movement, and then there's the physical agents, which I can tell you the last time I used a physical agent was probably before my children were born, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have to know it when I was in PT school. And it is important for certain settings, just not mine. I have no idea if you guys understand the breadth of physical therapy. So I wanted to share this with you because I had no idea when I went into PT school that there was so many things you could do for physical therapy. Of course, I put neurological at the top because that's what I do. I love neurological physical therapy. What I love about neuro PT is that every single patient I see is different. I have to put the pieces together. I can't just say, oh, I have somebody coming in with a knee, they're probably gonna need to do this. This is the exercise program. This is what I'm gonna evaluate. With neuro, it's like, mind blown. I just can't believe the things that I see. So that's what I like about neuro. Acute care, I started in acute care. That is a great place to start. So as a PT or a PT student, if you get a chance to spend time in acute care, or even now, when you're preparing to get in, if you get a chance to see acute care, that is really, really good place to start learning, because once you see that, everything else seems a little easier, because you got lines and tubes and people barfing and peeing and bleeding, and in acute care you learn to manage that stuff, and then everything else is easier. Home health is when they come to your house. Do you guys understand all of these? Hand therapy is do hands. You don't want to start at a specialty. Like, you don't want to start with hands unless you want to do that your entire career. Because if you're doing hands for 26 years and then you go, gosh, I really hate hands, I want to do neurophysical therapy, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not hiring you. Yeah, no way. So you want to start more broad. So the broad ones would be acute care, ortho, or neuro. If you start with ortho, it's going to be hard to get into neuro. If you start with neuro, it's going to be hard to get into ortho. Acute care will get you anything you want. So if you get a chance to work there when you first get out of school or whatever, that's a good place to start for all of them. Balance therapy, it's outpatient based. Vestibular, you might have heard it called. Skilled nursing facilities, that's an easy place to get a job. They'll pay you a lot of money, but it's also kind of a specialty. And so you don't really, if you get there, it's gonna be hard for you to go to the more broad places as well. But skilled nursing facilities is older people in a long-term care facility. They're moving kind of slow. It's different than the acute rehabilitation setting where I sit, so, or work, I don't sit. What am I talking about? So, I don't know if you guys know, but when somebody comes into the hospital, they're in acute care. So they're inpatient in the hospital, they're having surgeries, they're having the doctors come every day, nurses there every day, and all that stuff. After they're done, they're medically stable, they can either go home if they're ready for that. If they're not ready for that, then they go to either the skilled nursing facilities here or the rehab center. And the difference between the two is, for my rehab center where I'm at, it's intense, it's hard, and it's short. And so the skilled nursing facility is a little slower for those people that need slower pace. You can also treat or teach, what am I talking about? You can do physical therapy in schools. You can work with kids. If you work with kids and then you think you want to work with adults, it's going to be very hard. But sometimes people do go from adults to kids. Occupational health is for those people who get injured at work. So your next steps, I don't know where you guys are at. Some of you, is there any freshmen in the group? Yee-haw, you're getting your foot in the door, well done. I love that. Sophomores, very good, you're still here, you're still coming. Juniors, getting ready to apply. Seniors, maybe waiting for your application to be accepted. Congratulations. So some of this is going to be passed for those seniors. You guys are just trying to figure out where you're going to go and how you're going to pay for it and all that stuff. But for the younger people in the group, then you need to do all the science-based classes. If you have a science-based major, that's kind of killing two birds with one stone. When I was in school, I started as a psychology major. I decided, because I had to take the bio, the chem, the organic chem, and the physics, that I might as well capitalize on that and make it into a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and so that's what I did. That was the closest thing to pre-med or whatever at my school that I went to. Shadowing and volunteering in a clinic. So that's not easy to do. You have to ask around for, like, resources. If you call every single clinic, it's gonna be hard and exhausting. Sharp has a volunteer program. We also have a shadow program. We've had some recent shadows in your group here with me and scheduling. Actually, I schedule them. You guys were not with me, I don't think. Well, you might have been for a little bit just because you were friends. So anyway, if you're looking to shadow, you can reach out to me, and I apologize, I did not bring my card, but my email is in Talia's hands. You can work as a PT aide. That gives you money as well as lots of hours. So working as a PT aide, I'm expecting that a lot of the PT aide positions around are full-time, so that's rough when you're going to school. You can also do some research over here on what to do to start your PT career. I would start saving money because it's expensive. That is all I have. I'm shocked that I'm at the end of my presentation. I feel like I have so much more I can tell you guys, but I really want you guys to ask me questions. So please ask me questions. I think the next slide is, oh no, yeah, I take it back. Questions? Do you guys have questions for me?
What made you choose to go into inpatient over other, like outpatient?
It's a very good question. So when I was getting ready to go to PT school, I was working as a rehab aide. Well, let me go back. Okay, I'm at UC Santa Barbara. I'm an undergrad. I'm thinking physical therapy. They don't even have a master degree that has anything to do with physical therapy here. What can I do to learn? I want to learn about physical therapy. I ended up getting a volunteer day at the Rehabilitation Center in Santa Barbara, which was inpatient. Then I got referenced to be somebody's exercise person in their house after they had a stroke. Because of my experience there, they hired me to be their PT person in their house after a stroke. Loved all of it. I loved everything about it. Then I got a job as a PT aide at a skilled nursing facility. I loved everything about that too. And it was mostly neuro, but there were some orthopedic stuff at the skilled nursing facility. It just wasn't my jam. Yeah, so when I was going to school, I made it very clear. Number one, I had a job commitment when I went to PT school, which is another thing you guys should ask about. If you're in a current employment situation, ask them if they have a program to help you pay for school if you work for them afterwards. So that was a situation that I was in, that they offered me a job, they offered to pay for part of my school, and that was in a skilled nursing facility. So the whole time I was in PT school, I was all about neuro inpatient. Unfortunately, basically the same month that I graduated, the payment program for insurance changed and my job obliterated, which I was terrified about, but it ended up being the biggest blessing in my life because then I got hired on at Sharp. So, and then I started in acute. And from there I realized, you know, when you're in acute, you're seeing a lot of post-op surgeries, knee replacements, fractures, hip replacements, back surgeries, all this stuff, and I loved the ICU. Give me the ICU, because it's like drama. I love just reading the charts and seeing, oh my God, this person was impaled where? How did you have that? I just loved it. And so, and then I went to neuro rehab. And my last clinical experience in school was in neuro rehab as well. I did an outpatient orthopedic traumatizing 6 weeks, where this is not the normal orthopedic patient, but this is the only one that sticks in my brain from this terrifying 6 weeks. I was at Scripps in Chula Vista. We had a patient, I wrote a goal for this patient to be able to tolerate me touching her for 30 minutes without her screaming. No, thank you. I want them up. I want them moving. Like, hold on, it's only been 26 minutes. Like, no, no, that's just not my thing. It could be your thing. It's wonderful. I love my orthopedic physical therapists. They treat me very well. So thank you for the question. Yeah, that's how I got to neuro. Ortho. Any other questions?
What's your patient caseload like
outpatient versus inpatient?
That's a very good question. I am an inpatient physical therapist, so 90% of my days are 100% inpatient. I will float up to the hospital, which is also inpatient every once in a while, because they know that I know how to do that. And then just recently I floated to outpatient for half a day. And so I was, 99.99% inpatient. Yeah. But diversity is wonderful and is very appreciated by the systems. So when you're in a system and you know it all, like you've done a little bit of everything, then you're very valuable. So I recommend like keeping your foot in the door wherever you possibly can. Two questions. I don't know who to go first.
Would you say you have a good work-life balance?
I've never been asked that question and it is phenomenal. So I would say at the moment, yes, I have amazing work-life balance. At times in my career, I have not, and that was put on by myself. So that was self-inflicted non-work-life balance. That was when I had younger children and I was just like working, doing my normal thing, and then started volunteering for everything on earth because I was just like, I can do everything. I have to do everything. I'm a mom now. I'm taking care of everybody on the whole earth. And I didn't know how to say no to anything, and I was a Girl Scout leader, and I was I wasn't balanced. But right now, because I'm kind of, my kids are young adults, I have two 20s and one 22-year-old, I'm riding it, I have good work-life balance now. I do work what's called a 0.9 work schedule, which is I get an extra day off every other week, so I take Wednesdays off every other week, which is so awesome, because then you can do things like doctor's appointments and not take time off work. So yeah, I do right now have work-life balance. I did not have work-life balance right after I graduated either because of the debt that I was in, and I felt over my head, and that was with a master's, mind you. And so I was working 6-7 days a week because I just wanted to get that loan gone as soon as possible. It's hard to set that boundary. And there's a lot of people that come out of school now that are working their butts off. Yeah. And they're taking on per diem roles, which pay higher, and they're everywhere, but not really anywhere for a long bit of time. And it's really, I can't imagine doing that. It would be very hard. Did you have the same question?
No, I have a different question.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, on average, how many patients do you see a day?
So I'm very fortunate that I work with patients that, so in neuro rehab, every patient gets seen for at least an hour a day for physical therapy. If they don't need speech therapy, so you have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy in the rehab center, if they're supposed to have 3 hours of therapy. So if they don't need speech therapy because they can think for themselves, they can talk and all that stuff, they don't have swallowing issues, then they don't have speech, I get to see them for an hour and a half. And so I could be seeing 4 patients a day. Yeah, which is not a lot. In outpatient setting, they're seeing like 14 or something crazy. That's another reason why I couldn't do ortho. Yeah, because I love my patients and I want to get to know them and their families and their dogs and their parents. Like, I just love what I do. So, yeah, less patients is really my jam. Yeah.
What would you say the catalyst was for you switching your major from psychology to kinesiology or physical therapy? Was it just that volunteer
kept
day?
Psychology, and psychology is a great background, and I use it every day. But with the biopsychology, I got credit for all the science I had to take for physical therapy school anyway, so I might as well just, jump on it. Yeah, so once I realized I was gonna be a Bachelor of Science and not a Bachelor of Arts, then I was, everything, then all the classes kind of fell on my caseload instead of me having to like find them,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Did you complete that BS? Or, yeah.
I did complete my
Okay.
BS. I am a proud BS. Get that on camera, Talia. Yeah, I got my BS. It did take me extra time. So when I started, I was BA, and then my second year I changed to BS and added a year to my school. I was also a college athlete, so it was very difficult for me to add extra classes as a college athlete. But then in my 5th year, when I wasn't a college athlete anymore, I could take all the crazy stuff. Yeah. Any other questions? Please, questions? I'm just kidding. Thank you guys for having me. I don't know why I'm like, this is like my prompt. I feel like I'm gonna throw it across the room or something. You might wanna take this away from me. Thanks for having me.
Yes, let's give
My card, like maybe I can take a picture of my
Perfect.
card and send it to you.
Yeah, we'll send it out. All right. So if anyone has any other questions, Tabitha might be able to stick around for a few, but if not, best of luck with this last stretch of the semester. I hope to see you all in December for our little de-stress social on Wednesday for St. Augustine. And happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate.